This is why your snare sucks. Hey guys, it's Miko from MO Sound Lab, and today we'll be talking about drums, specifically snare drums, and how to get the best sound possible. Now, our approach to drum sounds has the same principles as our impulse responses and amp sims and everything we do here at MO Sound Lab. It's all about keeping things raw and natural sounding and not messing with it. The messing with it is what we do at the source. So it's all about tuning the drums perfectly, miking them up perfectly, and getting the best sound possible without messing with it. Now, before going further with the demonstrations, I want to say that it's November right now. That means that MO Sound Lab has Black November. That means that everything in our store is 50% off. That includes MO Drums expansions. And here's an extra discount code that stacks up on top of that 50% off discount. So now is the best time ever to upgrade your drum tones. Let's go to the demo. Now, I pulled up this old song demonstration. Something important to note is that everything you hear is gonna be MO plugins. So the bass is bass DI going into amped bass and wave breaker for compression. The guitars will be amped Volcano, and the drums is obviously MO Drums. And this MO Drums preset is actually the Grid's Dead Zone Grid preset, but we'll be messing with the snare drum for this demonstration. So the way we do snares at MO Sound Lab is that we have a lot of variety. So I'm gonna be using the Lux Beauty. That's gonna be the L Beauty Ludwig Black Beauty snare, obviously. Now, we have two different variations. That means that we actually sampled it with two different heads. And with those two different heads, what we actually have is 8 different tunings for the non-dry head, and the dry head has 7 different tunings. What that actually means is that we had to sample this snare 15 times. That is 15 times the work that our lovely competitors would usually have in their drum platforms. So just a note, we put a lot of effort into this. And to demonstrate this more further, let's go with the 330 snare. Why am I picking the 330 snare? Well, let's look at the Prism plugin here and where 330 is. Now, the reason I picked the 330 snare is because 330 as a frequency is an E note. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. So let's pause there. First of all, you probably want to know what we're looking at. So the white curve here is the drums. That's all the drums going into that curve. The red curve here is gonna be the bass, and the orange curve is the guitar. So the important thing to note here is that I paused purposefully at a point where I can actually see the resonant frequencies and the ring frequencies of that snare. So you will see, even though I said we picked a snare called 330, this is the actual low end of the snare, and it's gonna be more around 220. So essentially, no matter what you do, your snare low end oomph will be around 200 hertz, but that's not something you can really influence that well. What you can influence is the ring of the snare, and I absolutely love the ring of the snare, which is not in fashion right now. For some reason, people are using dry heads. We actually sampled this snare with a dry head also, so I can demonstrate that to you soon. However, all the best snare drums I can think of, Led Zeppelin, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nirvana, even John Otto from Limp Bizkit, they all take advantage of a ringy snare, and it just is the reason why I love snares in the first place. So the ring frequency, like I said, is 330 for this snare, and that will be an E note. So you can see there, that small spike there. You can also see that the guitars are playing an E note. Now, the way we tune these drums is so that you always get a fifth on top of that. So you're also getting this note here ringing out, and it's actually a B note, as you can see there. So I'm gonna play this on my keyboard. You're getting an E and a B. So we actually have 2 ringy frequencies for these snare drums, and a big part of them sounding good is that they're tuned so that they're always a fifth apart. So that's a power chord essentially, and you're getting that with all the different snare tunings. So this song is in E major. So it being in E major and us getting a power chord E essentially on top of this, it's always gonna be sounding very pleasant. So just have a listen to this. I'm gonna be playing the same chord on top of this. So this is what you're actually getting if you choose to use the 330 Hz snare. So you get the point. It's always gonna sound super pleasant because that is the root note for this song. You don't have to pick the root note. You can use this information musically to get something more interesting going, but that is gonna be the safest bet. That's gonna be the easiest way to make this snare fit the mix. You don't have to mess with it. Now, if you were to use a dry head, which is the fashion nowadays for many of our lovely competitors that we also love, they are friends. So they don't really necessarily have any ring in their snares. So the closest thing to something like that would be to use the dry version of the Black Beauty here. So if we pick the same snare in the same tuning, which will be 330 with the dry head, let's first listen to a normal ringy head. So it's almost like having a ton of moon gel on your snare drum. You're just getting the snap. You're not really getting any ring. And man, do I love the ring. Let's have a listen to me going through these different snares and which of them work and which of them don't. Now going through those snares, quite many of them actually worked pretty well in this mix. However, there was one clear one that was terrible sounding, and that was the 262 Hz. Now what is 262? That's gonna be C and G. So we have C and G, which obviously together is a 5 chord, but playing C and G on top of an E major scale is this. And that is why that snare tuning does not work for this song. So again, let's listen to that 262 Hz snare on top of this song. So it's maybe a little bit subtle because it still sounds amazing, but it does have that Saints Anger thing going on a little bit. That is the reason why we have so many different snare tunings in our platform, and it does mean that in the case of the Ludwig Black Beauty, we had to sample that snare 15 times. In the case of using a dry head, you don't really get that much swing, but even there you actually do get some of it. So this is the dry snare. And while I would say it probably works better in this chorus section, let's just have a listen to that. Even with the dry head, that pitch is still there. It's not ringing for as long, but it's still there. You can hear it, right? And you can even see it here in the curve. So you have 260, that's gonna be C, and then we have a G ringing out super loud, even in the dry head example. So when you get these drum samples, many times no one is even talking about this pitch thing, and it's definitely a problem. I think I've made it very clear here. So many times what I see people do is use surgical EQ to cut out the ring frequencies to get rid of the problem. The only problem I really have is that that ring being super pleasant and open is the entire reason why that snare sounds so good. So what I want you to do is pay close attention to the ring of your snare. Don't try and hide it. Play it around the song and the pitch that you're actually playing in. And if you like the sounds that you heard in this demonstration, like I said in the beginning, everything is done by using MO SoundLab plugins. And now it's November, it's Black November for MO SoundLab. So all the Black Friday deals are live right now. The entire store is 50% off. So get anything you heard in here, go get it right now. And as a special bonus, thank you for watching this specific video. Here's a special discount code that works on ML drums. So you get an extra 25% off by using this code, and see you later.